Hey everybody, I want to take a moment to discuss something that's going on in the dog training world. It's a debate in which the so-called positive-only crowd is out to destroy anybody who trains with prong collars or e-collars. For us, this most recently began with a challenge as to whether or not dogs are actually pack animals or whether they should be considered family members. And basically, to me, this is a semantical debate that doesn't really matter. The reason being is that what the positive-only crowd are really taking issue with is the concept of a hierarchy with senior and subordinate members of a pack that exists in canine culture. The reason why they don't like this concept of a pack hierarchy is because it implies a measure of dominance in order to maintain the senior and subordinate status within that hierarchy. So they're trying to attach a negative connotation to the term dominance as if it somehow means being cruel or inhumane to the dog in order to get submission from the dog. And now we're in another semantical debate because dominance boils down to control. And this control boils down to enforcing rules, boundaries, and limitations that prevent fights and all kinds of problems. And this is one of the things that gets under my skin the most, because while the positive-only crowd is over there pretending that they never use any measures of dominance, they put a leash on a dog. Ladies and gentlemen, when you put a leash on a dog, you're controlling that dog's movement. You're dominating the dog. And that's okay, because dogs are like toddlers. They're not able to make the decisions for themselves. They need guidance and they need help to stay out of trouble, which brings us full circle, back to calling dogs family members or pack members. So for the sake of this talk, I'll concede the point. Let's call our dogs our family members. Now, let's take a look at our family. In a human family, there's one mating pair, unless you live a polygamous lifestyle. And in wolf pack, there's one mating pair. So I invite you to imagine a rather large immediate family with a mom and a dad and say 4 or 5 kids. Do those kids decide if they're going to school today or not? Do those kids decide if they get to smack their sister in order to communicate their feelings? Do they get to decide if they're going to run into the street without looking both ways, or if they're going to play with matches today? Do they get to decide what time dinner is going to be, or whether or not they're going to be able to play video games all day instead of doing their homework? Of course not. Of course not. The parents control those situations. The parents set those boundaries and those times and the structure that help children grow and thrive and develop into socially well-adapted human beings. Because there is a hierarchy naturally inherent in the family unit. And that hierarchy prevents all kinds of problems with the children, fighting, bickering, all kinds of trouble that the kids could get into. And this hierarchy, this control, this structure, this dominance is what keeps our children safe. It's what helps them develop and grow and ultimately grow up and look back and say, I had great parents. I love my parents. I respect my mother. I value my father's guidance. This is what allowed me to become disciplined enough to make something of my life and have purpose in my life. This hierarchy exists all across the animal kingdom for our own good. And to deny it for dogs is to deny a fundamental primal need that they have to be balanced and mentally well. Because after all, the positive-only crowd don't want to call our dogs pack members, they want them to be family members. And so, I'm all for it. Let's treat our dogs like our children, like the toddlers that they really are. And they need guidance, they need structure. They need direction, they need engagement, they need affection, they need a balance. And so do our dogs. But this brings us back to the idea of canine culture, because dogs are not human beings and they don't communicate the same way. So just like human beings have a wide range of communication that we can convey through our voice, dogs can convey a wide range of communication through their touch. And yes, I can make my children uncomfortable with my voice. And so dogs can also use discomfort to enforce boundaries and convey information that are non-negotiable conversations. And we all know we have to have non-negotiable conversations with our children, and those boundaries have to be enforced. But dogs don't use their voice to communicate primarily. So we use communication methods that dogs understand instinctually, inherently. And this allows us to have a whole amazing connection with our dog. But here's the thing. I don't need to raise my voice to get cooperation from my children, or I need to do it very little. And I don't need to make my dogs uncomfortable to get their cooperation, because I have a system of structure and leadership that they respect. And they respect that leadership because it's fair, the communication is clear, and it fulfills all of their instinctual and primal needs. This is the essence of balanced dog training.